wild nights were I with thee. Wild nights would be our luxury, rowing in Eden on the sea. Might I but more tonight in thee. Futile the winds to a heart in port, done with the compass, done with the chart. Wild nights were I with thee. Wild nights would be our luxury, rowing in Eden on the sea. Might I but more tonight in thee. Futile the winds to a heart in port, done with the compass, done with the chart. Wild nights were I with thee. Wild nights should be our luxury, rowing in Eden on the sea. Might I but more tonight in thee. Might I but more tonight in thee.
Good morning. I'm Jeanette FABER, today's worship associate. Welcome to this, our annual poetry service brought to you by the poets of USNH. We are so glad you are with us this morning. If you are a newcomer or just have questions you'd like to ask the membership team, please know that there is a Zoom meeting right after this service. If you email membership@usnh.org, they'll be happy to send you the Zoom link. Our call to worship is a poem by Pablo Neruda entitled Poetry. And it was at that age poetry arrived in search of me. I don't know where it came from winter or a river. I don't know how or when. No, they were not voices, they were not words nor silence. But from a street I was summoned, from the branches of night, abruptly from the others, among violent fires, or returning alone. There I was without a face, and it touched me. I did not know what to say. My mouth had no way with names. My eyes were blind, and something started in my soul, fever or forgotten wings, and I made my own way, deciphering that fire. And I wrote the first faint line, faint, without substance, pure nonsense, pure wisdom, of someone who knows nothing. And suddenly I saw the heavens unfasten and open, planets palpitating, plantations, shadow perforated, rippled, with arrows, fire and flowers, the winding night, the universe, and I, infinitesimal being, drunk with the great starry void, likeness, image of mystery, felt myself a pure part of the abyss. I wheeled with the stars. My heart broke loose on the wind. Come, let us worship together.
We light this chalice for all artists, especially poets, who light the way to wisdom, who light the way to inspiration, who light the way to a new way of seeing and being.
covenant lies at the center of how Unitarian Universalists gather in community. We are united not by a particular set of beliefs, but by the promises we make about how we will be together, how we will treat each other, and how we will seek to mend relationships when we fall short of our aspirations. While the following words express our intentions in writing, our true covenant lives and breathes in our actions. Please join me now in reciting the words that appear on your screen. We covenant together to create and nurture a culture of respect and kindness, and to engage in the spiritual and everyday practice of loving more generously. To this end, we will strive to be open, value differences, listen deeply, use kind language, speak our truths, work with conflict, seek humor and joy.
A new poet. It's a force, a conjuring, the stirring of a primordial soup of emotion and thought, memory and words, the fusion of this odd yet familiar mixture that blends and then, like magic, adheres itself to a page of paper fibers and ink, allowing other than oneself to view the ponderings of what the poet hopes is not madness, but an expression that will touch another's heart, the primitive and yet evolving of what is best and worst within us, the depth of our human spirit.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Haskins, and I'm going to be reading Valentine for Ernest Mann by Naomi Shihab Nye. You can't order a poem like you order a taco. Walk up to the counter, say, "I'll take 2, and expect it to be handed to you on a shiny plate. Still, I like your spirit. Anyone who says, "Here's my address, write me a poem," deserves something in reply. So I'll tell a secret instead. Poems hide. In the bottoms of our shoes, they are sleeping. They are the shadows drifting across our ceilings the moment before we wake up. What we have to do is live in a way that lets us find them. Once, I knew a man who gave his wife 2 skunks for a Valentine. He couldn't understand why she was crying. I thought they had such beautiful eyes, and he was serious. He was a serious man who lived in a serious way. Nothing was ugly just because the world said so. He really liked those skunks. So he reinvented them as Valentines, and they became beautiful, at least to him. And the poems that had been hiding in the eyes of skunks for centuries crawled out and curled up at his feet. Maybe, if we reinvent whatever our lives give us, we find poems. Check your garage, the odd sock in your drawer, the person you almost like, but not quite. And let me know.
Good morning. My name is Claire Bian. I've been a member of USNH since 1992. I wrote the poem I'm going to read as lyrics for a song to sing at one of the folk singing groups I attend. I wrote it in 2 stages, 4 last August for the theme Autumn, and 5 more this past April for the theme Earth Day. It's sung to the tune of Flow Gently Sweet Afton, a traditional Scottish air, or to In Sweet Fields of Autumn in our gray hymnal. In days when COVID-19's our lives redefining. In days when COVID-19's our lives redefining, and we and our loved ones are at distance repining. Last year we did gather on screens and in gardens, till late autumn, when Jack Frost the earth it did harden. Did we beat our retreats to the safety of shelter, chat on screens and through windows, or just wave to each other? Resigned to our lots, though we'd so loved our outings, in backyards and in parks, and at seasides and mountains. Nay, our best social selves treasure time spent together, in beauty of nature, and darn the cold weather. So we donned our mukluks and warm woolen sweaters, and continued enjoying our sweet time together. The vaccines have been made, and many are now vaccinated. Still, the virus's dangers have not yet abated, because the variants that jump from live host to live subject force continued mask wearing to the aerosols deflect. Now winter is gone, and once again springtime weather, and vaccines are allowing us more time together, in backyards and in parks and in living room houses, and we're hugging more people than just children and spouses. But our dreams of vacations to lands far off and sublime will for many fond travelers still take some more time. Though maybe next year we can board those big jets and assuage our consciences with carbon offsets. But this precious blue planet that has brought us together needs protection from more than just vagaries of weather. Our encroachments on Earth and on wild habitats are destroying the green Earth, folks. Those are the facts. The days of COVID will not last forever. In time, herd immunity will the virus grip sever. But the Earth and our lives, now so gravely unraveled, won't heal without our help. Let's join in the battle. For this precious blue planet that to us gave our lives, we must all do our part to ensure it survives, so the Earth that we love's here for eons to come. And you know, in the doing, we can also have fun. Thank you.
For almost 30 years, starting when Emmy was less than a year, we rented the same rustic cabin, no electricity, no heat, no hot water, on a quiet Maine lake called Tunk. One year, the owner decided to rent by the month to locals only. I wrote this just after we left for the final time. On leaving Tunk Lake for good. This year, I'm losing the lake. My wife, resident philosopher, reminds me, Kathleen says you lose everything eventually. What good is philosophy? Do they not understand? I'm losing the lake, that lake. The lake where my children opened like flowers, heard loons, saw the Milky Way we never see at home, squealed madly when we tipped the canoe for fun to play in the cold water. My daughter, grave beauty, sat for hours at the tip of rocks staring at the lake and the tree-draped slopes on the opposite shore. She took a picture and called it God. I suppose you can't lose that. Can you lose even that?
Today's spoken meditation is entitled Poetry as Spiritual Practice. Like all art, poetry invites us into a new way of seeing and knowing, and from this new way of seeing and knowing, we may enter a new way of being. Poetry invites transformation of feelings, of thoughts, of perception, of understanding, and more. It is in the same way that spiritual seekers continue to transform through new ways of seeing and knowing. At its core, spirituality is, in my humble opinion, an ongoing process of transformation, a never-ending quest. When one door opens, we find another door. Metaphorically, spirituality is an ever-opening door. Part of spirituality, like poetry, relies on the figurative. trying to grasp something that is often or seemingly ungraspable. And even if we feel for a moment like we have grasped something of the transcendent, another door, another mystery opens up. Poems invite us into that other world, the world of the figurative, the metaphoric, in order to see beyond the assumed isness of existence. We need a new way of seeing and a new way of knowing. We need imagination. We need to imagine. Imagine new ways of feeling, thinking, perceiving, understanding. Do not happen when we are firmly planted in what we think we know. It happens when we are nudged into or out of what we think we feel, understand, or perceive. Poetry, writing it, reading it, listening to it, is a portal into a world beyond, yet paradoxically in reach. After encountering some beyondness through poetry, through spirituality, we come back to our lived lives indelibly altered, wiser, more imaginative and creative as we encounter this isness of life, and ready to continually transform life, shared and collective, through new ways of seeing and knowing. That retreat and return from the real to the imagined and the imagined to the real shapes and deepens us and our lives. Knowing what is possible in our world and our lives that sometimes seems all too real. And being what we imagine, we can become. What we become is only limited by imagination. Poetry helps us imagine our way into a new, even more spiritual way of seeing and being. Poetry helps us to create another world that is possible. May it be so.
Ode to a Miniature PeacePlant by Stephanie Cousins. A small thriving plant sits on a round glass table, silken, a pale yellow, with virginal white insides hidden, each her supporting corps de ballet on her own toe shoes, arms embrassés, each poised in her own space. This ensemble pivots daily, graces my sunny window, thrives and enlivens my simple, neutral, lonely space. A soft statue of firm petals, each proud to modestly show her curves, hollows and glowing life. Amid this worldwide stage of airborne germs, uncertain death, abated by beauty and care. Shiny, strong leaves, the male dancers, brave supporters, unafraid in this crisis. Imagination, a Tanga by Stephanie Cousins. From birth I was blessed with an imagination formed by genetics, infused in my safe habitats, libraries, and museums. I saw shapes on walls, lamp lights between window shades, and patterns on quilts. Books, not dolls, were my playmates, rolled outdoors in a baby carriage. I wrote poems for fun, about green peas running through a body like juice. The fifth graders laughed aloud. Ballerinas, tennis stars, danced in my dreams and poems. I saw colors, hues, on a white blouse in art class. The rest saw pure white, cadmium, yellow, blue, pink. My brush painted these with oil. When I paint flowers, I see sharp diagonals, shapes, subtle shadows, Directional lines lead eyes to its chi. My fable will unfold. Questioning, I think sidewards, gadfly and jester. Why voice the expected? My mind jumps around. Poets, painters, these my muses. I predict dire crises, a crescid Cassandra, now elderly, cautious, blessed by my butterfly mind, duly enlightened and cursed.
Hi, this is Tom. About 20 years ago, long before the advent of smartphones, I wrote this song about a cell phone. It was at Ferry Beach Camp and Conference Center in Maine, and I'd like to share it with you now. It's called My Cell Phone. Cell phone, cell phone. I like to talk on my cell phone. Cell phone, cell phone. I'm in love with my phone. I just can't wait to hear its rings, to say hello and how are things. By day, I keep it close to me. At night, I charge its battery. While shopping at the grocery store, I don't need a list no more. I just give my wife a ring to check that I've got everything. When on a plane or train I ride, cell phone use may be denied. Then I just pull out my laptop and type emails until we stop. I like to make calls while I drive. It helps time fly till I arrive. I've learned to dial and steer with ease. I hold the wheel between my knees. But my cell phone played a trick on me. It caused my car to hit a tree. The judge said, "Jail will serve you well. We don't allow phones in the cell."
This congregation is sustained by the generosity of its members and friends. If you are able, please consider navigating to usnh.org and clicking on the donations button at the top right of the page, or mailing a donation to 700 Hartford Turnpike, Hamden, Connecticut 06517. Thank you. The offering will now be gratefully received.
Hi again. Marion Katz asked that I read her poem for her. This is Marion with her husband, Abe. Close encounters of the third kind. We met three young beauties, sand on their feet, twinkles in their eyes, an eager peace at hand, thirsty waifs on a freedom trail. Do you have a drink, they said. Breath short, eyes wide, we offered them a drink from our well. On the sand, they told us of the far-off land they came from. To be sure, Afghanistan. To be safe, that was their plan. How did they come, by boat or by plane? I didn't put them on the spot by asking. They are here from whence they came, where men are dark and women kind. They danced, these three little messengers, their toes in a line, tiny bells clinking, fingers formed in OK signs. We shared secrets and sodas. They tried to guess our age. Sage were we, wise women, our lives spread out on a page. Newspapers blew in the wind of the crisis kind. They found us. We basked in these girls, the sun sublime. We haven't sinned, have we? Salam alaikum is so like Shalom aleichem. Peace, my friend. Let there be no wars, just different kinds upon different shores. I gave her an orange, she gave me her smile. I tasted child bliss, creamsicle in a dish, ice cream melting on a hot day, licks. My raspberry smoothie-filled morning opened up to this healing game. Shall we play? End to end, walking, crossing, we sight their relatives in robes, silk flowing. They do not bow to us, nor we to them. These people do not keep us near, nor we them. Girls' words fly back and forth, soft and tame. Kids nearby played a softball game. Instead of bombs, scraps of orange stay as peels, not Agent Orange on the ground. I see your beauty mark on your left 12-year-old cheek. So chic, you don't need makeup. We need to make up, my sweet. Kites fly overhead. They are the kite runner's silver chalice. Lines could tangle, sharp as ice. Don't rain on my palace, the community security uncles say as they march by in fronts. Searing gazes, reconnaissance outposts, making sure their girls are safe. You're talking to them because of their glittery patani dress, they accused. The girls slipped away, minding the men. We see their lovely faces, frocks fade into sand. The girls return, giggling. We share endearing looks with these ancient kin, alike yet different. They snuggle giggles in our safe hands. Those guys were ready to bust us for being friends. Buttons, bows, sequins. Gold on your toes does not win our friendship. We know these seekers, their eyes aglow. How old are you, the little one says to my friend. I don't say the number of my own days. I turn to my friend. She shares her age. Are you going to die? The maiden's question rings like a buoy in the wind. Yes, everyone dies, she says. 2 + 3 we walk the sand, higher than the kite's spinning tails in the clouds. And fun we run, seeing sun's reflection, wet feet in the waves. Teenagers loud nearby laugh in unapologetic bikinis. Women's Afghan skin isn't shown in their land, where femininity is inequality. Don't tell our men that our love isn't only for them. We hide our effort in nurturing purpose. Eyes lowered, hijab cover. There is more than you can see. Skin and kin, we beach ladies like both. Could we be arrested for being friendly, for flapping tongues, us old crows? Our proper white skin cotton-rimmed, the stated style of this large land. We speak secrets to the wind. The sun shines on waves and water. 3 pretty maids come, angels in red and gold. Security is coming to get you so bold. We look up, and higher than the kite's spinning wheels, see the sun. We waft in the clouds, and funny we run, wet feet in the waves. The clouds pose one against the other, unlike bricks in the wall that keep us divided. Girls' relatives plunder culture as if under arms. Hugs, let us be peaceful. Share words. We are not so different, sitting on dust and rocks and shells. We see their brother and sister climb playground slides and jungle gyms. I picture them on 3 plastic mountains, one for Moses, one for Muhammad, and on the third, 10 commandments look on. Photographic shapes of trees trade shadow for sun. We speak to these nymphs who tease angels to us as messengers come. These 3 girls have crossed my mind on a breezy day in the sun sublime. Close Encounters of the Third Kind by Marion Katz. Thank you.
This first haiku is dedicated to a wonderful cat. It's titled Mirabelle. On my chest, purring. Nowhere to go, surrender. Gently rides the breath. This is one I wrote while sitting on my porch listening to the wind. Trees blowing like sea. Rolling sea sounding like trees. Earth breathing. Breathing. This is one from after a windstorm. Wind brushes trees' hair. I pick up fallen branches. Trees and people smile. I've spent more time with the higher power over the last few years, and I've gotten more comfortable calling that higher power God. Good morning, God. What is in store for today? Humble love? Let's see. Thank you.
When in disgrace with fortune in men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state. In troubled deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate. Wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope. What would I most enjoy, contented least? Yet in these thoughts myself almost despising. Happily I think on the inland my state, like to the lark at break of day rising, from sullen earth sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet kings.
Rock singer extraordinaire. I was a rock singer when I was young. A spy and a thief, too. My bony, scabby self spied on adults and caught them in lies. Oh, how pretty you look, they'd say. Why don't you wash your face? I stole great big chunks of happy moments from each day, too. I shared my ice cream cone with my dog Tootsie, and I'd whoop, bellow, and shriek. I called it singing. I'd climb the big old rocky ledge in the pasture, down the road, and wallop those notes from my throat until it was sore. And when I was done, I'd climb down from that great big rock, bow to the cows in the field, and go home.
In this turning away, down falling wind and the strung hearts of oaks and maples and ripe dropping mulberries, the gentled earth, soaked and alive, cradles what lands, cradles it all. Crumpled blossoms, folded, still bright, still calling, my beauty is here. Look while I am fading. Don't turn away, never turn away. Rain falls in sheets, sky soft and gray and limitless. Fly up with face heaven turned, arms outstretched, wings, fingers splayed wide, bouquets at your feet. Peony, begonia, asclepias, dara, zinnia, gypsum, hydrangea, daisy, borage, following, opening, joining the upfalling of everything.
Hi, I'm Joyce Sullivan, and I'm going to read 2 poems for you today. The first one is in memory of Frank Vernava, who was a member of the congregation at USNH for many years. It's just called Frank. Frank flew out of the window at Bella Vista, a large white-headed bird. Frank had flown before around the lake at Chatfield Hollow on fleet feet, while his wife Irene sat on her towel in her fat black bathing suit under an umbrella slightly tinged with mildew. One time he rested in his flight, came and sat on our blanket, loudly spouting the Communist Manifesto, until a large man seated nearby rose up, cursed Frank, and stomped away, probably a veteran. Most of all, Frank loved to dance every chance he got, encouraged us to join in, loved his wife too, I think. When Frank could no longer dance, he was sad, a widower now, bereft of home, living on his own. When Frank could no longer dance, he decided to fly. The second poem is called The Guardians. They stand in doorways, still as rocks or mannequins, expressionless, stoic. Only their eyes glance slow around the room, their bodies still until you come too close, reach out to touch, and they are instantly beside you. I wonder about them, their lives, families, wives, grown children. They are all old men. What do they think about all day to allay the boredom, to ignore the pain in their heels shooting up from marble floors? Sometimes when I'm alone, I ask them, and behold, they spring to life when asked about themselves and not the paintings. Once, one of them had his eyes alight, no longer bored, described his showbiz days, and, ignoring the crowd, performed for me a quick and elegant soft shoe. Thank you.
Great.
Hello, I'm Tarn Granusi. I've been a member of USNH since 1956, and I'm happy to be able to share some poetry with you today. I have 2 poems to share. One is a poem I wrote when I was about 15 years old, as I stood by a stream that I visited on a fairly regular basis, as you will hear. This is The Singing Stream by me in 1965. I walked out in the cold night. I walked to a bridge of wood and wire. The brook flowed on, minute after minute, year after year, endless and tireless. No thoughts, no worries, no pressures or cares. I went closer. It sang to me. With its beautiful gurgling, it sang of the beauty it had seen, no pressures or cares. I went closer. It sang to me. With its beautiful gurgling, it sang of the beauty it had seen and carried with it. I left the cold, real world and was warm. Warmth was under my feet in the snow. I opened my coat and the night air warmed me. The stars radiated heat from the black ceiling. Beauty was everywhere. Reality called and I went and was again cold. Again I detoured back to the singing stream and was overwhelmed by its warmth and beauty. Sadly, I again departed. An open mailbox, a hard road, bright houses, a barking dog. I'm cold now. My second poem is a poem about my mother, who you see here in the beautiful pastel that her dearest friend did of her the year before she passed. The day she passed in 1994, I was standing in my father's dining room looking out the window and saw a doe coming up the backyard from my backyard that abutted their backyard. And I had never seen a deer in the yards before that day. And so this poem is about that experience and the experiences that followed. Doe, a deer, spelled D-E-A-R. You walked with purpose from my yard to yours the day you left. You met me on the street when I was feeling so lost. You let me know I'd be okay. You were there in the field, over the rise near the giant. Your look said, yes, you're on the right path. You show up when I need you, a beautiful and graceful doe, to see where I am and cast your vote. There in my driveway, you gaze with no fear. Others may notice you and just see a deer. You departed too soon and left us so sad to go on without you and try to help Dad. 20 years gone by, and my sibs and I can feel you with us in moments clear. And there, in the meadow, I spy a deer. Thank you.
This is called Elaine's Sestina at Camp Row, Massachusetts. I have the t-shirt on. Camp Row. I went there a few times. Some of you remember my partner, Katie Van Vlack. Katie and I went to several different workshops there. And this was written at a workshop with Farron. Some of you know the lesbian songwriter Farron. Anyway, this was written on May 12th, 2007. And as an added little twist, May 12th would have been my father's birthday. So many things kind of all fell together, and this is what came out in this poem. Finding a space and a place to be me has been my lifelong quest. At times, I have tried the geographic solution only to discover that wherever I go, there I am. It is natural and easy for me to accept others. Affirming myself is another story. Now is the time for me to claim and proclaim my story. After too many years of self-flagellation, I am becoming glad to be me. Integrity without self-righteousness is my quest. Being kind and considerate to myself doesn't take from others. It's a healthier way for me to be who I am. Giving to myself and accepting assistance is part of the solution. Perhaps some things will always be untidy and there is no solution. So what? What is, what was, whatever will be is the story. Future possibilities emerge from here and where I am. It still feels awkward sometimes when I try to take care of me. Asking for what I want and need opens options for others. Each of us and all of us are on a spiritual vision quest. Where we are, how we are, and what we want are part of the quest. Welcoming adventure instead of seeing problems is part of the solution. When I find a path, I try to leave a trail for others. Given the chance, I'll sit by the fire and tell my story. I love stories. Please, tell yours to me. The reflection of you and everything tells me who I am. We get proud by practicing. My friend Laura Hershey wrote that poem. I'm so glad to be who I am, glad to be who I am. That's a Betsy Rose song. There was a time I never thought I would get this far on my quest. Now, more and more, I am okay with feeling good about me. What a concept. Huh. Inside me, a very personal revolution. Round and round and round we go, cycles and spirals, spinning the story, feeling free, wide open, ready and willing to be me with others. My attitude is gratitude toward all true lovers, including me. There, I said it. That is who I am. The ego of false modesty falls away from my story. My hope is to be genuine. That will be my quest. We must be the change we want in the world. Mahatma Gandhi. That's my revolution. When I aim in that direction, I create a better me. Here I am, in a space and place where I can tell my story. With all who care to join me, I will share a lover's quest. In a lover's revolution, we can each and all be free.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
A benediction. May poetry live on your lips and in your heart. May poetry cradle you with solace and inspiration. May poetry light your vision and your soul. May poetry be your very life as a bold and boundless poem.
Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.